Well, good morning, boys and girls. Great White Stoke coming at you from the land of the midnight sun. So we got some video responses from the Grand Arbiter of Truth and Shaphonomics. Very good video, guys. And the one thing that I like is how protected you boys are of your want to believe that the world is the way that it actually is, and that you aren't just some peasant on a large plantation where everything is rigged against you. And that's okay. But let's get to the Mormons and the little hats, because this is a subject that the Grand Poobah of Truth just does not want to look in the face. If someone brings it up, he wants to make fun of your assertions. He really doesn't want to do his own research, and then he wants to bring up terms like bias and, you want to join. He wants to bring up all these college terms because he's been to college, right? To refute your position. But he never wants to look at the information, and that the Mormons in small hats are overrepresented in the halls of power, the halls of finance, and the halls of media, and that these people are responsible for the pornography industry. Furthermore, these people have a country to return to and have a dual passport that allows them to. Furthermore, when that country does anything, we're expected to back them up regardless. And then if you don't, the knee-jerk reaction from everybody, right, is that the great Sky Daddy, the one that finger wags and that sent his son to die, right? In that book, right, it tells him that we got to go support that country. But let's move on. Let's move on real quick to Shaphonomics, because he's another educated man. I believe we all are, right? The Grand Poobah of Truth studied philosophy in college. Shaphonomics studied psychology, right, which really gets you just a job at Starbucks these days, or managing a grocery store, from what I believe. Not you, Shafe, because you actually got a bit more going on upstairs. I myself studied economics and sociology. All right. So Shafe likes to bring up a couple of terms with regards to 9/11 and conspiracies in general. In fact, both Poobah and Shaphonomics were talking about 9/11. And what these boys like to do is they like to bring in the experts. Yeah, we're going to bring in the experts. You see, we got these professors here that weren't there, right, that are going to refute you. And we're going to use, some narcissistic abusive terms. We're going to use some math, right? But they never get to the people that were actually there at ground zero when this was happening, like Barry Jennings, who's no longer with us, like Carlos, the janitor, like all these other people down at ground zero who were hearing explosions go off. These talking heads can never explain the presence of thermite, or why first responders were finding rivers of molten steel, or why they very quickly got the wreckage out of there and didn't allow forensic investigators to go through there and look at what brought the towers down. And we do have photographic evidence of cutting charges, that were used as far as what the peers looked at después, which is Spanish for after the tower came down. There is footage, especially if you look at the Core of Corruption documentary, and if you research that guy who made that, what happened, you see footage of liquid molten metal pouring out of the building prior to the towers coming down. Now, moving forward, Schaefonomics was bringing up two terms, and that you don't know that there is a conspiracy. You don't know that this, that, and the other thing were happening, right? You might believe it, but you don't know. But very quickly, let's look at those words, shall we? Know. What is the definition of know? To be aware through observation, inquiry, or information. And what is believe? Acceptance that a statement is true. So, do we know that the government, which is just a large organization that exists because a collection of people get together and say, hey, by decree, we got some documents here that say we're in charge, and oh, here's our government agents. Here's some government employees that have agency over the rest of you slaves, right? We know that these government employees and this collection of people that say they're the government lie to us all the time, mainly to cover up their screw-ups or an agenda. Do we know that secret societies exist? Yes. Do we know that powerful people get together to direct big movements culturally, socially, economically, politically? Yes, we know this because there are people, and we're not talking about the retards, the fatties that stay inside all day eating Pringles, smoking pocket cabbage, actually do their research, like Gary Webb, which is how we know the government was importing cocaine, which is how we know that most of the wars that we've been into have been predicated on false information, okay? And we know that these wars have been primarily done to enrich corporations like Dick Cheney's Halliburton, okay? We also know that Dick Cheney is the only man in America that can shoot somebody and just has to make an apology. If you were to go shooting your buddy, you probably would have gone to jail or had some type of judicial action happen against you. And it's from knowing that government employees, government agencies, and the people that are pulling the strings in government, because that's what government is. Government doesn't exist without a bunch of people. Okay, we believe, which is accept, that there is a lot of conspiracies happening to enrich, to empower, to embolden a select group of people. That frightens a lot of people, to have to come to grips with the fact that, whoa, the government really doesn't care about us. It's not working for our best interest. It's working for a small group of people. Why do you think we're getting flooded with illegal immigrants across the border? Because the government emboldens them through enrichment. If these illegal immigrants were coming across the border and there wasn't some NGO or government paycheck, government service waiting for them, they wouldn't be coming. Now, maybe you don't interface with third worlders all that much. And I've talked about this. I dated a woman from Taiwan, right, who worked with a bunch of people from the third world that had come here illegally. And they all are of the same thought process that, hey, white boys, this country isn't yours anymore. And only dumbasses are trying to get into the next socioeconomic income level because you get taxed for it. So all these people that are coming from the third world, they want to look poor on paper and work under the table for cash. And this is why they're living better than most Americans, right? Americans, pale-face, round-eye, is told, hey, it's expensive to raise children. You shouldn't have children. It's just too expensive, and, you won't be able to afford a house. And yet every immigrant is coming across here and just popping the children out, right? Big families with the last name of Gutierrez, Wong, Pramathian, right? Because they're told something and you're not. And this is because we know that the government is working against us through awareness, observation, inquiry, and information. And we have accepted this information to be true. And now we believe. Lastly, let's talk about the aliens. And Shafe, you are right. Although if you consider Betty and Barney Hill, they were shown a star map, so there might be faster than light travel. Bob Lazar talked about warping space and time. We know that tachyons, can move back and forth through time. I definitely am of the belief that there is a great possibility that they are extra-dimensional or intra-dimensional beings. Our observational senses are very rudimentary. We're only able to see certain spectrums of light. We're only able to hear certain frequencies of sound. So probably true. But remember, when somebody has a sky god and is throwing a book around that says this is the truth, but then doesn't look at other books from that same time period and say, well, that could be true too, right? Because we got a bunch of religions coming out of that area. And they're all Abrahamic, right? Judaism, Islam, Christianity. And they always just kind of leave out the Buddhist teachings. Anyway, this video has been long enough. It's 13 minutes. Good God, your time is important. Now, I am going to revisit you guys, and we're going to talk more about the government and knowing that, yes, they have a lot of toys, but believing that they aren't smart enough to develop it on their own. And what I saw, and we're not talking about some weird light in the sky either. All right, gentlemen, be well. Bonnet Mom, hope you are doing okay. If you're watching this, I know you got a garden and children, so you probably do not have time for this silliness. All right, be well. Hugs and kisses.